be tying up a WD-40 today. This will be a little bit of an easier pattern than some of the ones I've tried to tackle lately. We're going to start, this is a size 18, and it's kind of a scud hook, size 18. And I'm going to be using a sheer olive 14-aught thread. The WD on this pattern stands for Woodduck, so this is not the spray. For a while there, I would spray WD-40 on my flies and wonder why I wasn't catching anything. That's not true. Okay, so we've got our Woodduck here, and I'm just going to take out a few of these fibers here. They're going to become the tail, as well as kind of a wing case at the very end of this fly. I want those tips on the end to be lined up. So to do that, I'm just going to hold that as usual, kind of perpendicular to the shaft of the feather itself. So you can see I've got a nice little bunch right here, right in the middle. That's going to work nicely. They're all lined up. They're ready to go. I'll just pinch them on the tips. And then I'll just let them strip right off, just like that. So once I've got those stripped off, you can see we've got the tips pretty well lined up. This is going to go over the back of the hook. So I'm going to hold these in place. I'm not even going to do a measurement here. This is going to be one of those more, let's feel and see if it feels right or not. A little bit harder to do the kind of measurement on a feather when you've got such a curved hook, and I'm looking at this saying, oh, I need more this time, which is usually not the case for me. There we go. And I want to keep those feathers up here on the top of the hook. So I am going to just take some touching wraps down the shank, down around the bend here of this hook. And that's going to cause those feathers to just kind of bend right around that that shank, and that's what I want it to do. The thread itself is going to be the body. So, like I do from time to time, I'll turn my vise just so that I have a better perspective of where I'm kind of laying my thread wraps. And that's going to do me right there. So then we're just going to bring our thread back up. Keeping these, we want to keep those fibers of Woodduck on the top of the hook here. So it's starting to slide around on me a little bit, so I'll just kind of push them back just to help make sure they stay where I want them. And we're going to just bring that on up near the eye here. Not to the eye, but near. So once we get up to about right here, we've got our thread body going. So now that I've got those in place, I'm going to do just a tiny little bit of tapering. So we're just going to make a few passes back and forth. This is a size 18, so I do want to be a little bit careful not to build up way too much bulk that can happen really quickly with a smaller fly. But we just want the smallest amount of taper here. That was timely. Sometimes I'll twist my thread counterclockwise. Sometimes I do that to get the thread to wrap a certain way, but also turning it counterclockwise like that is going to flatten it out a little bit, which is nice because it'll help me build this taper without building quite as much bulk. So you can see here we've got a nice little taper going here, and I don't want any more than that. Just the smallest amount there. So I'm going to bring my thread back up behind this Woodduck tail, or the butt ends of this wood duck that are still attached. I'm going to pull that back over the top of the hook, like so, and I'm going to take a thread wrap or two to secure that in place. So there we go. We've got that in place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to throw a little bit of Superfine olive dubbing on here, and I want to match kind of good, but I don't know if I said this before, but I'm a little colorblind, and so that can be problematic sometimes. Being that we just want a little ball of dubbing on the top here. You can see my Superfine is here. And you don't need much. It's been a minute since I've done one of these flies with dubbing on it for videos, but I'll say it just like I always say it, which is a little bit goes a long ways. So we've got our dubbing on there nicely. We will go ahead and take wraps up towards the eye. I might tighten this a little bit as I go along here. Just like so. And I'm actually going to add just a tad bit more. So again, it's better to add a little bit of dubbing than to try to fight to take dubbing off, because that's a pain in the ass. Sorry for saying that way, but it's a pain sometimes to get that dubbing off of your thread. So I'd rather go a little bit light. It only takes a half a second to put some more dubbing on here, and I do want to create not a huge beefy thorax here, but a nice ball. So that's going to do me just fine right there. And so the last step of this is we're just going to fold this wood duck over the top. I'm going to kind of get it spread out a little bit, as much as I can, to create a little bit of a wing case. So we're just going to take a nice wrap just like that. I'll take a look at it from my side. I'll let you peek at it on your side. So we're sharing a little bit here. That's going to do me good. I'm just going to take a couple more wraps there. The tiny little bit of tail fiber that I've got left, or wood duck fiber, I'm going to try to get a couple of wraps here in front of the eye. Boy, I just used the right amount of... I must have picked just the right feather here. So we'll just come in and clean out that excess as close as we possibly can. Got a little bit more down over here that I'm going to clean out. It's like so, and get this little fragment that's hanging out there to go a little bit. And take a few wraps just to kind of clean up those butt ends. Not too many. Again, it's a size 18, so I don't want to throw a ton and a half of thread wraps on here. One of them just came off, which is fine. So now I've got my whip finisher, and yeah, we are done with this fly. So we'll just take a 2 or 3 turn whip finish here, or 4. And we'll pull our thread a little bit tight. And then we can circle right back in here now with our scissors. Cut that little end of thread off right there. That's all there is to it. This is a great pattern. So you can kind of get a better view of kind of that tail of wood duck that's coming out the back end, and a very slightly tapered body with a little clump of dubbing at the front thorax, with the wood duck, balance of our wood duck folded over as a tiny little wing case. This one will catch you some fish. This is a great pattern to have in your box. Again, I'm tying this on an 18. Time much smaller than that as well. I wouldn't go any larger than an 18, so I'd go 20, 22, 24. And it's easy. They're fairly easy to tie even in that small size, because there are so few materials in them, and they're great droppers behind a dry fly or behind a heavier wet fly. But that's the WD-40.